delighted to be talking, though, to our next guest about our next film. I think this film is one of the most beautiful of the last decade or so, and he's a big, big part of that. So, ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together and welcome Paul Mescal! No pressure, no pressure.
Hi, how's it going? Oh.
How are you doing, apart from roasting?
Oh.
Yeah.
How's everyone doing?
How are you doing? How's Glastonbury? This is not your first time. You are now a regular.
Last year with Andrew, it's incredible as always. I saw a couple back last night and having a great time. Yeah.
Awesome, awesome. So, tell me about Aftersun, because you wanted to show this again, and I feel like good, because I wanted to see it again. But you know, what is this film meant to you? It's obviously been quite a seismic moment in your career and your life, I guess.
You know, I haven't seen the film now for a long time, and when Riyadh, who's the organizer this time, and getting asked what I wanted to show, I don't know. I think this film changed my life, and it's had a big impact on my career, and also just in terms of what audiences seem to take away from it moves me. Been involved with it. It's kind of a weird complex with it.
But do you remember the first time you heard about it? Because Charlotte was
Yeah.
a first-time director. I think you had maybe a short film to go on to get kind of an idea of what she wanted to achieve, but otherwise...
I saw Charlotte's short films, but it was really the script. I read the script and I had never seen or read anything that was so immediately brilliant, where nothing was really left to the imagination. Everything that you see, I don't know if this is your first time seeing it.
Who
No, it's
here
not.
has
Great.
seen Aftersun? Put your hands up. Okay, that's very healthy. All right.
I'm curious, who hasn't seen Aftersun? This is a crazy place to see this film for the first time.
But it's almost immersive. Like
It's immersive.
It's about
like
being on holiday in Greece, right?
That is, I'm literally like. So there's minor spoilers for you who hasn't seen it, but everything that you see in it, from like, say the shot with Sophie when it's the DV cam and it goes into the TV and it plays in one shot through two different kind of cameras. That was all written in the script, and I think all of that detail that you think is kind of, which is also like the genius of filmmaking, is also in the script writing genius, and I think it's very rare in my understanding of things, that a first-time script and a first-time script writer and a first-time director is that accomplished straight off at the start of their career. Yeah.
And so you knew exactly what she was going for, and she knew exactly
what she was going for, and it made our job very clear. I was just get out of the way, just do the thing, and whatever Charlotte says kind of goes, because when somebody is that considered everything that much, it's your job to kind of come in and deliver as clearly as possible. Yeah.
I mean, we actually just had Taryn here talking about working with a young actor, a 10-year-old in that case. I've spoken to Frankie Corio. She is, I mean, in terms of like personality and charisma, I feel like she's about 65, but
yeah,
I mean,
she's like an old dame in spirit and like the biggest legend ever.
But what was it like the first time you met her? Was it immediately clear you guys were going to have a kind of connection? And
I mean, like, the charisma is one thing, and it's just like, you've met Frankie, but like the Frankie that you meet in the film, parts of it are her, but I'm always want to make it clear to say this, that like Frankie isn't just kind of dining out on her charisma. She's a really accomplished actor, to my mind. It's like I would hold her in the same family in terms of scene partners as Andrew or Jesse or Saoirse or anyone like that, honestly. I was like, she just gets it, you know? I just loved working with her. She's super fun, exhausting sometimes, as she was great for the part. But yeah, I just really loved working with her.
One of the things I read, because I was reading old interviews that you did and that Charlotte did about the movie, and she was talking about how you kind of almost stripped out any detail that you didn't think was absolutely necessary for the part. This was very much like a stripping it back to absolutely the bare minimum for this character. Can you talk about why that was so important for this?
Yeah, because I think when you see it, I think the reason to me that the film works, for many reasons, but particularly with Callum, is that there's something about you can't really put your finger on what is upsetting him so consistently. And it's like, how do you tell an audience that without telling an audience that? Because then the film becomes a totally different thing and becomes immediately less interesting to me. But it was just a bit like, how ambitious can we be as director and actor in terms of like trying to give the audience the bare minimum, but kind of, if you can toe the line, which I think we did to a certain extent, that it just gives an audience a kind of feeling rather than being told what to feel, I think.
And I mean, you got an Oscar nomination for this, a very well deserved one,
Thanks.
may I say. But what was it like? Correct, yes. But for a film this small, that's first of all incredibly, it's a testament to just your work and also to the film itself. But what was it like going from, you know, this little film, this indie British movie from first-time director, and suddenly you're doing the awards circuit in LA, and you know, right there on the level with all these blockbusters and everything else?
Yeah, that was like a fucking like, it was a particularly mad time. It was like, weirdly, I thought like, do you know when those kind of lists come out, like October, November time? They're like top 10 actors for best lead, and you're like, a film that we made in Turkey that nobody knew was being made. It's the first time that I'd kind of led a film. The thing that I loved so much about it is that nobody really knew it was. Is that working? It's still working. Nobody really knew it was being made at the time, and then it's suddenly in. It was the fact that we were being included in conversations was so immediately kind of affronting, and then the Oscar nomination happened, and you're in a category with Colin Farrell and Bill Nye, and these greats. But it just, that again, so that's why I love this film so much, because of what it has afforded me. You know, it's like, yeah, it was a very moving time.
I do want to take some questions from the audience. I'm hoping we have some. Okay, immediate forest of hands. So the lovely Luke over there has got a mic for us. Have you got somebody? He's going to bring it. Yes, to you with the hat. Hello.
Thank you so much. Your acting was like very inspirational, and it was like amazing.
Thank you.
Brutally beautiful. So I remember the scene, like you were walking into the ocean, like diving, walking into the ocean. Could you tell me like how was your feeling when you were acting, or were there any like behind scene situation?
This the walking into the ocean scene.
Yeah.
I found that it wasn't just that scene. There's a couple of scenes like that in the film where you're kind of just watching Callum do something that initially is unsettling, and it kind of evolves into something that you're kind of questioning whether he's survived the night or whether he's gotten knocked over by a bus or something. I found that kind of low boil of pressure throughout the film really difficult to absorb over the shoot, because also Charlotte, the director, wanted me to not show any of this to Frankie when we were filming. So you never got any kind of catharsis when I was with her. So when I was on my own, I'd just be like, okay, there's a sad bit coming up. So kind of over time that builds up, and I imagine lots of actors would probably say the same thing, that over the course of playing a character, if they're going through something like Callum has gone through, it can kind of get in a little bit and get into your head for the period of filming, and then you hopefully let it go. Yeah. Thanks.
Thank you. Next question. Okay, so there's a lady just two in front. Let's get her the mic, just because proximity, I'm very
Hello.
easily led.
Hi.
This isn't necessarily Aftersun specific, although it was a beautiful, if not jarring film. But your characters across the whole span of your work deal with a lot of really complex issues, from loss, depression, repression.
Yeah.
Is there a particular medium you find you can get to the sort of root of those difficult topics more easily?
Yeah.
Because theatre, you know, is very sporadic, it's very in the moment, it can be very, you're in a closed space and it's just you and what happens that night. But then you have cinema and then you have your TV. Is there a medium you prefer and a medium that, being responsible for such complex characters, you feel like you can really get to the crux of the issues?
Medium is in like an emotional state, or just like theatre or film?
The actual a bit of both, actually.
Bit of both. I don't know. I feel like I've got a bit of a rap as like a sad boy actor vibe, but it's. I think there is something funny in that, but it is also like. There's like you know, like there's singers you admire or painters that you gravitate towards. I think it's hard as an actor because sometimes there's this idea put upon you that you have to be a shape shifter consistently, and I do believe in that in terms of like physicality and intention, but I think if you're drawn as an artist towards kind of examining a darker psychology, or like, I don't know, I grew up in Ireland and I've been around a lot of young men who've experienced depression, who've experienced loss. It's familiar to me, and I want to kind of examine that to a certain extent, and until I get bored of that, which can happen tomorrow, I don't know, it's like I think you have an obligation as an artist to kind of chase your suspicions until a new suspicion arises. Yeah.
Kind of trust your gut a little bit.
Trust your gut, yeah.
Okay, he's bringing over the mic. Yeah, next person. Okay.
I mean, as you've said, you've had a reputation of playing quite sad characters, dealing with like difficult burdens. Is there anything that you feel is like the most important lesson you've learned from the characters you've played?
From the characters? Oh, that's a good question. I think there's probably a couple, but the one that's just jumping into my head is the like thing that Harry says to Adam in All of Us Strangers when, spoiler, Harry's dead and he's come on.
Wow.
But he's dead. I just love but when he says at the end, when he says don't let that get tangled up again, and he's lost his life to kind of not loving himself, but he has the wherewithal to give the reminder to somebody who he loves and admires, reminding them not to follow him, but to be brave and keep your heart open. I think it's just like there's loads. I think it's, you want to find something like that in each film that you do that you can kind of hang your hat on, and that just is the one that jumped into my head immediately.
Okay, actually, if you can hand that forward a little bit. We've got a lady here in blue at the front. Proximity, yeah.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi, I was wondering what advice you had for actors graduating from drama school and going out into the industry.
Are you just graduated?
Yeah.
Congratulations. Where'd you graduate from? Yeah.
Bristol Old Vic Theatre School.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Any advice? Yeah. What advice will I give? I always think do as much theatre as you possibly can, because I think it's an actor's medium. I think once you go on stage between like 7:30 and 10:30, it becomes totally yours, and I think you can only learn how to fit into like the idea of like a Charlotte Wells's concept or a blockbuster film or whatever, like a specific genre of style, because filmmaking is, in my opinion, a director's medium, and you have to find a kind of intelligent way to pass through that as an actor, whereas on stage it's kind of your playground. I think it's a writer and an actor's medium, so it's kind of a general piece of advice, but I think the actors that I admire the most are the actors that you see not just go on stage to do like I don't know, like I'm going in to do, like I'm doing a West End show once every 15 years to remind people of X. It's like go in because it's your training place. It's like your training doesn't finish after you graduate. You've got to go back and keep topping it up, I think. So I think read plays, go to see, make sure you're going to the cinema. I know it sounds basic, but you'd be surprised the amount of graduates or people who want to act who don't absorb the job that they want to have. Yeah.
Thank you.
No problem.
And could you actually pass it over to this lady in the check skirt?
Hi.
Hi.
This is working, yeah. I just have to ask, this has nothing to do with the film, but what was it like working with Ridley Scott, and is he really like as scary as everyone says he is?
Is Ridley Scott scary?
Yeah.
Ridley Scott is hands down one of my favorite directors that I've ever worked with.
Yeah.
And he's one of the few directors that I think living today who can really make blockbusters that in a way that is somewhat cost effective. And it's a difficult kind of topic to broach, because I don't think Ridley is scary. I think Ridley is incredibly direct and knows exactly what he wants. And he can be a pretty firm communicator, but there's very few people in the world that I know that love film as much as he does. So scary sometimes, but aren't we all a bit?
He's direct is my experience.
Direct,
of him as well.
yeah.
I'm sorry, we are pretty much running out of time. I just want to ask you about what's next. I know there's some Beatles stuff coming up. Could we see you at Glastonbury in a couple of years as the bootleg Beatles?
I'm not gonna say no. No. No, we're having a great time. Yeah, I don't know. I always think it's funny when actors go into like band camp. We're like, are we actually kind of like good at this? But we are having a great time, and I'm loving work. It's my first time working with Harris and Barry, and I've worked with Joe before, and we're having a great time. Yeah, you'll be waiting a while for it. It's not going to be out for like 2 years, but we're having fun.
I mean, you've got 4 films to make. It's going to take a minute.
Yeah.
It's not a small undertaking,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
amazing. And
Yeah.
what have you got coming out between now and then? You've just finished a couple of films, I think?
History of Sound with Josh O'Connor coming out in September, yeah. And I have Hamnet with Jessie Buckley coming out. It's later than that.
Yeah, later.
Yeah. So I think the fact that you're sitting here at 3:30 in Glastonbury and you're going to watch Aftersun, I have a sneaking suspicion you might go and see that in like an air-conditioned room. But I do appreciate people coming out in a festival setting in the boiling heat to watch a film that meant a lot to me, because it's the people in this room that mean that I get to do my job, and we get to bring and tell stories and sit here and talk about why things move us. And it means a lot to me that you're sat here.
And I really hope everybody here, if you're staying for the film, stays hydrated.
Stay hydrated.
You're going to need it by the
Especially
end.
you, it's your first time watching it, so good.
Well,
Yeah.
ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for your
Thanks.
questions, and thank you, Paul Mescal.
Thanks, guys.
Oh, jeez.